when you talk about the games that we're headed into this weekend, already Fox and Big Noon is getting exactly what they want out of Dave Portnoy and Barstool, because there are reports that Dave Portnoy has been banned from participating in Big Noon Kickoff. It seems that all of this would be orchestrated in order to create noise and controversy, and I believe Portnoy and Barstool will be good about attracting attention and attention of young people to rival Lee Corso's departure on ESPN.
Well, he's not banned from Big Noon, okay? Big Noon starts their normal studio show, and they do like the final segment inside the stadium. He is not being allowed.
So forgive me.
Inside the horse show.
Good correction. Yes, but he's also not banned according to Ohio State's AD, who says, and they've got so many rules. I got in trouble last year, right? Because I sent Ricky to get Lucy into Texas for a game, and there are all sorts of rules of how you get on the field. Except at Texas Stadium, Ricky Williams just walks on the field. He's one of the few with that kind of pass. But we got in all sorts of trouble when we did that because there are rules. And so what Ohio State's AD is saying is this is not a ban. It's just if you're not on the set of Big Noon, you're not on the field and you're not allowed. I don't know who's right or what's accurate here. All of it's good, though, for all of the participants involved.
Ohio State may be tipping the hand that Portnoy isn't a part of the closing segment, which, given their history on how they integrated some of the ancillary cast members, I guess that's a fair play. I think that this is marketing strategy to drum up interest, make him seem, again, too hot for the situation. It defies logic that if the Big Ten's biggest broadcast partner wanted Dave Portnoy on the field at that desk, he wouldn't be there. That just is not a thing that would happen given Fox's investment.
Beyond that, one of the things that I was telling you mentioned Bill Simmons, but Bill Simmons did have a writing career, and at some point during the last 20 years, at least in part because of how ESPN was doing the journalism of things, having a writing career is something that made you credentialed, if not physically with a credential. You had the credentials to be welcomed on something like a set that's analyzing games. I don't believe a creature like Dave Portnoy has ever existed in the history of these shows. This is how a network that is struggling, but not with that show and not with Saturdays, a network, and not with politics or anywhere else, but a network that is struggling with its sports programming. This is how they get into the game, by trying to do something different. Finally, I've been so frustrated in general with Fox because they're just doing a crappy copy version of whatever has been the norm. So now they're just going to upset everything, and they're just going to create chaos and noise and controversy, and it's going to be something that'll be good for the modern age, at least in part because none of these networks know how to get young people. Paramount Plus, we've been making fun of CBS forever because it's all Murder, She Wrote. They get the UFC because they're like, how do we get young men? We need young men. How do we get them?
Not that I'm super young, but it's working. Like, I am now interested. Obviously, I got to see Corso do the last headgear, but I will be flipping back and forth on Saturday. I want to see what it looks like.
I got to the point with Gameday, and now I think last year was a marked improvement over the previous year, but it kind of felt like Gameday was a cheap imitation of Gameday, whereas some of the fixtures, the Rinaldi piece, it felt like Big Noon was building on that. A lot of the producers moved over. The Bear is a part of it. So I was actually going to be totally dialed in on Big Noon because they had the rights to this game, and they would have done it up big, but then the emotional aspect of Lee Corso's final College Gameday, it's just maybe if I catch him on a commercial break. Otherwise, I'll just be tuned into the social clips, but this is all about Lee Corso for me.
This weekend will especially be interesting because everyone is descending on Columbus. It's Big Noon and it's Game Day are all there together. Like, who's going to have the bigger crowd? You'd assume it's Game Day, but still, like, everyone is going to be there this weekend.
This is a hero. This is a television hero that is getting a proper send-off. They're not waiting to the end of the season. They're giving him the big emotional tribute at the start where it all began.
Did you see some of these clips in the special that ESPN aired the other night? Herb Street is crying.
Yeah. Herb Street's been crying when talking about Lee for 15 years in fear that this day would come. And I'm happy that Lee Corso, that nothing tragic happened, that this is actually going out on his own terms.
Should we set an over-under on different times Herbie cries on Saturday?
Oh, he's going to be a mess.
4.5?
They're all going to be a mess.
Over-under 4.5.
They all love him so much. It's palpable. That's part of the connective tissue between that show and its audience. It's resonated with an audience, and this includes inside the NBA. In terms of a connection to a crowd, to its television audience, no one has ever topped in sports television what College Gameday has achieved.
The internet has been cruel for a long time and is cruel to old people. So Dick Vitale gets a lot more negative noise now than he used to get. And Lee Corso does too, because he has struggled with the aging process on air, as anybody could or would at that age. And ESPN has done very little better than the way that they have treated him with care. But when it comes to the coarsening of America and everything that you've seen recently, this is really symbolic that ESPN will get week 1, even though that's a giant game with Arch Manning in the middle of it. But where you see the Rogan sphere getting stronger in places, where you see young men getting stronger in places, symbolically, this is a changing of the guard that Fox is trying to go after and finish that show with, because once you lose the connection of that one thing, right? Because McAfee does a lot of good stuff with the field goals and giving away money, but the one thing of when he puts on the headgear, that's when my football weekend starts. That the noise on the television for 3 hours, it's background noise. It's the way you watch all the Super Bowl pregame stuff. It's just on somewhere in your house, but you're about to descend into no showering for the day because you're watching a whole bunch of football. And I think it's super interesting to see what happens with those numbers over time as Urban Meyer, the dirty one, is over on that show. Dave Portnoy, the dirty one, is over there on that show while ESPN is trying to sell you its past.
Nick Saban, the dirty one, is on that show. I mean, don't sell him short. He's not Urban in terms of like this moral spectrum we've established, but he ain't all good, pal.
He's less dirty. Still dirty.
Urban's dirty, though.
Urban's not getting the commercials.
Because he's dirty. He could get one for detergent. Like, you want to scrub your Jacksonville clean of the laughter?
Urban's like those deck shoes after yard work.
The things that are happening throughout America, you can also feel them in and around sports. And it is going to be worth watching what Fox does when very rarely is any of this stuff worth watching, like where we anticipate it. College Gameday is special because it has been that for a long time, but it hasn't had any challengers. Like Stephen A. Smith has been saying we've been number 1 for 11 years, but I mean, it's like, okay, but you didn't compete against anybody the first 7 years, and then Skip went to a startup, and you have been number 1, and you made the time slot matter, but it wasn't really a time slot that was having heavy competition throughout morning television. You're coming after the king when you come after College Gameday, and you're coming after the king with something that's pretty different. And it's hard to make that stuff different because everybody's copying everybody else.